And there that goes. Okay, you know what? We're just gonna have to deal with that later. What was that? What was that? Okay, what is going on with OBS? What are we doing here? What are we doing? Like saying, oh, disconnect, disconnect, connect, disconnect. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Alright, but anyways. Beep, boop, boop, bop, boop, boop, bop. Okay, hopefully y'all can hear me. Okay. Welcome back. We're back to college. So, yeah, we're gonna go back to game theory. Because I yapped so freaking much that we didn't get through the video. I love this. Hang on a minute. I gotta get the thing turned up here. Probably should close those. Yeah, look at this, y'all. Game theory is the prototype is Poppy. I might watch that one, but like, come on, y'all. We've seen Poppy physically versus away from the. Okay, you know what? Actually, I could maybe see where, she might possibly be. But anyway, hang on. Let me get the iPad. So I need to see my chat. Oh yeah, my desk is an absolute mess, by the way. Also, look at this. I don't know how good the lighting is. Sorry, y'all. A bonsai. When I was on vacation, I got this little bonsai. It was made out of, like, I had to make it myself. I finished it probably a half an hour before going live. Oh, no. Why are we... am I going crazy? I swear I saw it moving. I don't know. Alright, there we go. Perfect. Okay, where do I put this? Okay, we're gonna put this right over here. Oh, wait. Oh, never mind. The lighting is pretty... Honestly, it's decent. Interesting. No, but yeah, the lighting's decent. Okay. Anyway.
From a story perspective, let's just say Vanessa is also a robot like the movie novelization seems to imply and just have a full set. Or we can try the other option, because this connection between these characters...
Okay, something I don't like that YouTube does is when I click out of a video, it'll replay old stuff and I can't remember where we left off.
Immediately seems suspicious. It couldn't just be a coincidence, right? Oh no, my friends. This rabbit hole is big. Big enough to fit every iteration of William Afton we've had throughout the years. No, not you. Get out of here. Honestly, why do you even exist? What I'm trying to say is that a coincidence implies this kind of similarity has only happened once. However, thanks to Secret of the Mimic, we've actually got a bunch of quote-unquote coincidences between the original set of games and the new lore we've learnt about from this new game. Just look at one of the other important Murrays, Edwin. He is a brilliant robotics engineer whose life is defined by two things: his incredible world-changing inventions and the soul-crushing loss of his wife and son. He's a genius haunted by tragedy, whose own creations ultimately become twisted into something monstrous and turn against him, killing both him and his son. Now, flip over to what the original games told us about William Afton, a creative robotics genius whose entire family story is defined by loss and tragedy at the hands of the killer robots he created. Baby kills Elizabeth, Fredbear kills David, and Michael is then killed.
Well, but the thing is that Murray's family wasn't killed by robots, they were killed by tragedies.
Killed by the fun times. We also have the mysterious and absent Mrs. Afton, who we've theorized about in the past being represented by Ballora, the musical ballerina from Sister Location, mostly because of the song she sings.
Why do you hide inside your walls when there is music?
Hey, it's your dry
Oh
skin.
my gosh,
I'm
dude,
craving the ceramides and
mute.
CeraVe.
Mute.
CeraVe with 3 essential ceramides.
Why did it go to the search bar, dog? Everyone be sure to like and subscribe.
All I see is an empty room. No more joy, an empty tomb.
A Again, doesn't that sound familiar? Almost like it's exactly how M1 Fiona feels. Her husband locked away inside his walls, trying to work on projects, not spending any time with her.
I miss you.
All with the room of their dead child laying empty, waiting to be filled by M2. But wait, there's more! There's the old house on the hill with a secret underground workshop, the Murray house above MCM, and the Afton house above sister location. There's a robot designed to be a babysitter that essentially fails at their duty. Security puppet was designed to protect Charlie, yet she dies, and M1 Fiona, who was designed to protect David, and yet he also dies on her watch. There's the burning down of a facility, but the main villain survives it. There's mysterious molten
I feel like this might be, what's it called? A kind of like a thing about, like, it's kind of like a, not to get so philosophical here, but like, oh, whoops, why is my thing like that? My bad, chat. I don't know how I didn't see that sooner. I don't know why it's... Oh man, I'm not performing well that night. I'm gonna keep screwing up. Alright, anyways. But anyway, yeah, I feel like it's kind of like a symbolism of like, history repeating itself if things don't change. And like, it's not like to be like, to say like, it's just simply supposed to be a figure of speech, but like, it's like a representation of like, or an example of history repeating itself because nothing changed. Maybe, I don't know.
metal that works as a kind of power supply for the machines created, giving them life, as it were. You have the primary villains of the franchise, Afton and M1 Fiona, wanting to put their children back together, and there's then the wonderful and ever underutilized baby, who gains sentience after the accidental death of William Afton's daughter, Elizabeth. William then rejects her, banishing her to a secret underground lair he built beneath the house. A near beat for beat.
Okay, I was going to say, like, y'all know, like, how Circus Baby, like, her eyes were originally blue, but then she got possessed by Elizabeth and her eyes turned green. Like, it's not just that they turn green, just look at them. They look... Oh, wait, I don't even know if you guys could see if my face cam's in the way or not. But, like... Oh, no, y'all could see, I think. But, oh, now you can't. It just went right out of frame. That's crazy. But, like, the green in her eyes is just super... Like, it looks more human.
Parallel of M2's story of rejection from Edwin. I could go on, but I think you get the point. The number of times the stories from older games paralleled the stories of the Murray family cannot be purely coincidence. It's a pattern. They say history is doomed to repeat itself, but when it's this...
Well, I just said that, dude. That's crazy. Man, I said this last stream. Game Theory, hire me, bro. Hire me. I'm cooking.
Much, and when it involves as shady a company as Fazbear, you know there's something more going on, and that something is bigger than I could have ever imagined. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason these things all line up so perfectly is for one simple reason. The stories from the first 7 games, the ones that told us everything we knew about Henry, Charlie, William, Elizabeth, Michael, and David, are entirely made up. Now, to some...
Every time somebody says this, it was all a dream theory. No. Stop. No. I hate that theory so much.
Degree, we knew this already. In my theory crafting livestream, I kept bringing up the idea that in Help Wanted, we are told point blank that the games were just that, games.
For total fabrications from the mind of a complete lunatic.
The books corroborate.
How did we not notice that? Or at least I didn't realize that. I mean, I heard it and I registered it, but I never really thought about the fact that they were saying that everything about the games were a fabrication created by Create Lunatic, and they put like you could argue that like, oh, it was William, but they put the picture of Scott in there. Like they point blank told us it wasn't real. But wouldn't the whole thing of them trying to say it was all made up perfectly on brand for Fazbear because they'd want to cover it up, so then it would thus mean that it is real?
Corroborated this with stories like The Monty Within, where kids refer to Pizzeria Simulator as an in-universe game, where the mediocre melodies come from. But we also learned from Tape Girl that the whole indie dev story wasn't entirely truthful.
It's an elaborate cover-up to make light of what happened.
And so we basically used that
Wait, oh, wait, no, because then William wouldn't exist. Oh. Oh, so no, the company is trying to cover up the mimic stuff. Like the whole Edwin Murray's. Wait, no, but William Afton does exist because he was getting emails saying, "Oh, and there were tie-ins." So I don't know, man.
line as a way to explain away some of the inconsistencies, but really the stories were just as we originally thought. However, since then, we've had a few more pieces of evidence that would seem to suggest they're not fictionalized versions of real events, they're just fiction. One of the earliest stories from Tales from the Pizzaplex is Help Wanted, and in it we learn about Steve Snodgrass, a developer that was hired by Fazbear to make the first 3 to 4 games to make light of the rumors of murder and death surrounding the business. But as he works on it, his mind begins to fall apart thanks to sound illusion discs. Not only did Fazbear never tell him what the story really was, he was working purely on rumors, he was also being driven insane. So how trustworthy is that? And in the Walmart exclusive Tales story Monster,
Whoa, what?
going that deep here, we learn about a kid who writes stories about a pizzeria owner in the local paper, claiming that he is a serial killer and abuser, turning the whole town against him. In fact, the stories he whips up sound an awful lot like the Fnaf 1 newspapers we see in the game. But throughout the story, we're told explicitly that these stories are completely fictional, fabrications made up by a kid with a grudge. And if that's the case, we're being shown that these Fnaf 1 newspapers also can't be trusted.
So I guess pretty much, yo, what up? Hey, Harmling, thanks for stopping in. So pretty much, I lost what I was about to say. I know. So pretty much they're saying that the games we play, 1, 2, 3, 4, Sister Location, Pizza Sim, I guess I'd say everything before Help Wanted, is canonically a game. So pretty much everything is canonically a game within the games after the fact. That's crazy.
And with that in mind, it makes you question what else can be trusted. Of course, I'm not saying that absolutely everything is fake. If we have corroborating evidence, especially from the Steel Wool era of games, the ones that took that meta approach and revealed to us the real world that these games existed in, then we should be good to go. Like, we do know that William and Henry existed. They're mentioned in Secret of the Mimic audio and text logs. Like,
bro, I am cooking. I mentioned that. I literally said that. Bro, game theory. Let me in. I'm knocking on the door. Let me in. I'm banging it down.
Otherwise, a FNAF 6 location definitely existed because we find it underneath the Pizzaplex. And clearly, there was an incident or incidents that Fazbear wanted to cover up with a set of video games in the first place, as we're told about in Help Wanted. However, what I'm saying is, what caused those events might now be something entirely different, because outside of those in-universe games, we don't really have any evidence for them. And so, we can't rely on them as 100% true, or even rely on them happening as we saw them at all. And when you open up that can of worms, suddenly everything we thought we knew is thrown into question. Was William Afton actually a murderer or just an awful business owner? Did Michael die and come back to life as a purple husk? Was anything ever really possessed by spirits to begin with? Maybe instead of a murdery business owner with a bunch of ghost children.
3 moms sitting down at the...
It feels like it's just... It feels like things have just gotten so ridiculous into the lore that we've just did this come full circle to like, oh yeah, so pretty much the games now are not canon to the lore because they were made for the sole purpose of recreating something for the later games. They're canonically games in the game universe and are used to explain earlier events in the universe. Oh, oh man. I mean, I hate the fact that the more I'm thinking about this, the more it makes sense.
Animatronics, it was always just a rogue AI that Fazbear got their hands on, they couldn't control, and had a habit of stuffing people into suits that could also mimic the behavior and voices of children. I mean, Scott did say that was the kind of story he was more interested in telling.
I know there's a little bit of a divide with maybe me and the fan base. I have a tendency to lean sci-fi, even though I try to come back into the roots of the supernatural. So anything that involves possession of AI or possession of machines or circuitry, I love that sort of thing.
That would be an absolute PR nightmare. In fact, it would have been more than a nightmare. It would have been the PR apocalypse. Admitting to the world, oh yeah, our proprietary self-learning AI has absorbed the trauma of its creator, developed a violent streak, and has now started stuffing customers into animatronic suits. We don't know how to stop it, and we are liable for all of it. That would be the end of the company. But if you had a scapegoat, like a jerk boss who happened to die on the premises in one of their faulty spring-lock suits, oh yeah, it was totally him. Our founder was secretly a monster. We all knew he was a jerk, but we didn't think he'd go this far. He did everything, but it's over now. The monster's gone. Case closed. And things like Fnaf 6. Was it a gathering of ghosts, or was it a corporate cleanup? A recall, where Fazbear did what it could to contain their rogue AI, sending something like a recall signal, or a specific frequency or data packet that would force any machine running the Mimic program to be drawn to one location. And that famous speech, it isn't a heartfelt eulogy, it's Fazbear cementing Afton's role as the fictional villain, putting a final neat bow on their scapegoat, with the real fire probably just being a calculated attempt to destroy all the evidence of their rogue AI. And for a while, they probably thought they succeeded. And so they built the Pizzaplex on top of the old establishment, only to reintroduce the Mimic via some old circuit boards. William Afton,
I still love that even in this hypothetical universe, even if this was all fake, Fazbear Entertainment is still a obscenely corrupt company. I love how that stays perfectly intact. It doesn't shatter the fact that they're a horrible company.
his family, their story was created to turn Fazbear's failure in stopping the mechanical mess they adopted into a spoopy ghost story. And not only did they rewrite Afton's history, but to be sure that people wouldn't trace it back to their acquisition of Murray's Costume Manor and Edwin's Mimic, they took parts of Edwin's story and planted it onto their founders. Fiona was a puppeteer, and so M1 was translated into a puppet created by Henry to protect his child. One of the most traumatic events of Edwin's life, the death of his son, became the death of Afton's son, the Bite of 83. The echoes of M1's Fiona's grief over her lack of connection with Edwin after the death of their son turned into a verse from a video game, A Ghost's Lament. One of M1's final messages to Edwin,
"It is me. I'm Fiona,"
became the words screamed by another overarching and vengeful spirit. Even the words that Edwin actually spoke to M1 Fiona about M2, that it could never replace his real son, are now just the infamously confusing line we hear in a fictional show.
The baby isn't mine.
Fazbear may not have stolen
The baby
Edwin's invention,
isn't
but they
mine.
did steal his story, twisting it and removing all memory of Edwin and his contributions from the equation. His merits and faults split apart and grafted onto a
Once again, Fazbear's still a corrupt corporation.
scapegoat to keep it all in-house, while also absolving themselves of all wrongdoing. But while I think there is a lot of evidence to support this whole idea, from the parallels in the games, lines in the books, even Scott himself, there's just one issue that I cannot shake. It kinda sucks as an answer. It's
What did I say? Okay, I guess this one's a stretch. I was saying, like, bro, it's dumb if this is gonna be it, but yeah, bro. Yeah, I know, it does suck.
basically turning around and telling us, yeah, the last 10 years of theorizing, it doesn't matter, start over. And that is just super disheartening for us fans who have spent all those years trying desperately to take small pieces of the puzzle and put them together in such a way that we create a cohesive story. We've spent 10 years building up our ideas of Afton, of Henry, of the crying child, only for this idea to essentially flush them down the drain. It's one of the reasons.
Here's something I was gonna say later, but I might as well say it now since it's on topic. Something that, first of all, like, everybody should like and subscribe for more 5 Minutes of Freddy's content. But anyway, as I was saying, something about it is that on one hand, it would be really refreshing if something confirmed this theory, because then it's just like, oh, well, you know, this theory, this theory, this theory, this theory, that theory, and all that, these theories that we can't seem to find the cohesive answer to, don't worry about it anymore. It's not canon. We have, and only these number of games are canon. So isolate these theories and solve it based on what we can in these games, and it would be a lot simpler. But then, on the other hand, what he just said, it sucks. We all spent so much time with all the wrong questions.
Why some of the
Focusing
early
on the wrong
reactions to
things.
Secret of the Mimic's lore were so angry and frustrated, because Secret of the Mimic's whole thing was revealing to all of us that we didn't really know the truth about what was going on, even though we thought we did. It was revealing information we basically had no way of knowing until very recently, which is tough compared to the, quote, good old days, where even though solving FNAF was hard, it felt like the pieces were all there for us to use, rather than key information being withheld for the sake of a twist. And this theory would kind of just perpetuate that idea. It would also make theorizing incredibly challenging going forward, at least more than it already is. We can speculate about how some elements might fit together, as I've done a little bit today, but it's just that, speculation, because we don't have any sense of how much those old games can even be used as evidence. I'm sure a bunch of you out there hate this idea. Heck, I don't really like it either. We here at Theorist have been big proponents of Scott rebooting the franchise and its story for quite some time. This, however, wasn't what we meant. But there is some hope, because this, like every video, is a theory. And if Secret of the Mimic taught us anything, it's that we don't have all the pieces of the puzzle at this point. All we can do is interpret what we have as best we can, and that can be done in a couple of different ways, like we've done with today's theory. If this ending isn't up your Bonnie bowling alley, you can always go and check out the other ending for today's theory that is a little more on the keep everything canon side. At the end of the day, the important thing is that we are open-handed, be willing to explore all the avenues and work together, because that is how we solve this weird and wonderful franchise. And since then,
I'm Danielle.
While this ad runs its course, yeah, that's something respectable, is like that they're not gonna like use this as like, okay, we gotta assume this. They never do that. They're never like, oh, well, we're gonna assume this theory is right, and we're gonna keep making theories building off what we assume this one is. But yeah, no, they never do that. And this being a huge one that changes the trajectory of the games, if it is true, yeah, they're still gonna, they shouldn't be like, okay, we're assuming this, so we're gonna, but yeah.
I received a lot of comments asking me one very specific thing. Why wasn't I mentioning other people's theories? Especially when two of them were trying to answer the same question. Fate Fiona by Gibby's Horror Homestead and God David by T-Dreads. And the honest answer is, I hadn't watched them. I know that might be hard to believe. Us FNAF theorists usually want to take in as much FNAF content as possible. But as the amount of theorists has grown over the years, so has the rise in comments accusing theorists of stealing ideas from other people. So to make sure I wasn't in any way influenced by their theories, even subconsciously, I purposely avoided watching any other FNAF theories while I was working on my own. It's a shame, really, because at the end of the day, solving FNAF has always been about collaboration. It's why Matt did his live talkback after FNAF 4, and it's why we still do them today. We need to work together if we have any hope of getting through it. So now that I've been out of my Secret of the Mimic hole for a few months, I figured it was high time I checked them both out to see whether they were able to fill in any of the gaps that I couldn't, or whether there's some combination of our ideas that could maybe make this story finally make sense. I hope you're ready, theorists, because it's time for another round of my trash takes.
Leave your theories in the comments or subreddit. I'll pick my favorite in the next episode of Trash.
Let's start with Gibby. As the name implies, Fate Fiona focuses on the character of Fiona Murray, David's mother. He posits that Fiona, after becoming the M1 mimic and
I'm still really kind of like confused on how like the whole Fiona becoming Mex's thing worked. Everyone be sure to like and subscribe for more 5 Minutes of Freddy's content. But yeah, I'm really confused on how it works. All I know is I saw the Fiona machine and I'm just like, that is the Mex's machine.
into the Mex's machine becomes this overpowering force that manipulates the world around her into repeating history. Not just her history either, but Fazbear's history as a whole, like the fires, the bad fathers, the houses being on top of the secret facility, and loads more. This immediately caught my attention as it explores a similar line of thinking to what I was exploring in my Games Are Fiction branch. But it manages to keep it all in universe rather than it being a fictional story borrowing ideas from reality. Gibby suggests that Fiona is able to achieve this world manipulation through three main factors. Firstly, the idea that Fazbear keeps building on top of previous establishments, meaning all the remnant and agony of its victims are still present in the area, and essentially haunting the building. This explains why in games like Fnaf 1, we see the posters on the wall change, or why in Security Breach, there are random plushies hidden around the place. It's the classic burial ground trope. The buildings are haunted because they are built upon the dead. But when you think about it, thanks to Secret of the Mimic and Ruin, who specifically is dead and underneath all of these buildings? Right in the basement of MCM, waiting to put her son back together, Fiona. Secondly, he looks at the story of Fetch from Fazbear Frights, and the concept of how human thought.
I think this was probably my favorite Fazbear Fright story I've read so far. I'm on book 3. I haven't started book 3. I finished book 2 a little while ago. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna be trying. I know I'm not doing very good on with reading the books, but it's something I do need to do so then I can maximize my my competence of being able to like solve any theories. But yeah, I will be working on that.
Thoughts, if strong enough, can actually affect subatomic particles in order to manipulate the world around them and other people's thoughts. This is a real-world concept called the 0-point field. Gibby explains that down there in the basement,
Wait, I'm sorry, I need to listen to that again.
Son back together, Fiona. Secondly, he looks at the story of Fetch from Fazbear Frights, and the concept of how human thoughts, if strong enough, can actually affect subatomic particles in order to manipulate the world around them and other people's thoughts. This is a real-world concept called the 0-point field. Gibby explains that down there in the basement, Fiona's thoughts are so strong, her desire to rebuild her family so powerful, that she is able to utilize the 0-point field and affect the thought.
Wait, hang on, I'm gonna look this up. I don't get what he's... Lowest possible energy state of all quantum fields in a vacuum often describes a sea of constant fluctuations, even at absolute zero. It signifies that space is never truly empty but filled with energy, as particles never cease moving, as shown in liquid helium studies. So pretty much it's saying particles move and never stop moving. Yeah, no duh. I guess back then it was a huge revelation to figure out, but nowadays it's just like, well, yeah, duh.
Of those in the area, namely William Afton, subconsciously planting the name David in his head so that he calls his own child David, as well as subconsciously giving him the idea to stuff kids into suits, like the Mimic used to do back in the 1970s.
Flavor wins champion.
Oh my gosh, stop. Are you guys seeing this? Like, I can't be the only one who's been noticing, like, recently how many freaking ads that YouTube has been slamming.
And finally, there's the physical wires. Fiona is plugged into everything Fazbear touches, much like the storyteller was in the Tales from the Pizzaplex books, an AI designed to connect to everything, but ends up infecting it with bad ideas and code. Similarly, Fiona gets plugged into Fazbear and so witnesses everything that happens throughout Fazbear's history due to the agony and remnant they leave behind, causing the technology to also repeat parts of history, like Fredbear killing David when the opportunity presents itself because her son David also died on the
Okay, this is a good theory too. This is a good theory too. I can see both of those are very good and sound theories. Hang on, sorry, y'all. My headphones were getting a little low. There go. I got the low battery message.
premises, or Glamrock Bonnie being locked away in a back room, destroyed, being watched by possessed wet floorbots. Much like Springtrap was locked away in a back room after dying, being watched by 5 spirits. Fiona is the central hub for everything. With her memories and will being so strong, she's forcing history to repeat itself over and over again. Now, when I first watched this video, I thought it was super out there. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized it tied into a number of theories we'd already had on this channel. We did a theory ages ago about why we thought there was so much puppet imagery across the Pizzaplex, specifically in the wires connecting everything. At the time, we felt the best option was leaning into the only character we knew that had an association with the puppet, Charlie. We even equated it to the idea that she was haunting the building like an old school ancient burial ground.
Charlotte. Where was I getting Charlotte from? Charlie, Emily. No. Charlie. No, Charlotte, right?
Option was leaning into the only character we knew that had an association with the puppet, Charlie. We even equated it to...
Charlie. Isn't it Charlotte? Am I tripping? Thankfully, I brought my books back. Give me the silver eyes. Oh, wait, no. Charlie. No, that Charlie Emily. I don't remember it being Charlie Emily. I thought Charlotte. Where am I getting the name Charlotte from? Isn't there a character named Charlotte? I don't know, I'm just tripping.
The idea that she was haunting the building like an old school ancient burial ground, rather than being tied to a specific animatronic like we'd usually see. We had the same idea, it's just we didn't know Fiona was a character in order to tie her to all the puppet imagery instead of Charlie. Admittedly, it may still seem a little strange. Why would Fiona be associated with the puppets? Well, I think...
Well, because earlier they were talking about how Fiona was, in the story, Fiona was representative of the puppet, or like M2, when she was M2, she was representing as a puppet and failed to save, what's his name, David from death. Kind of like how the security puppet failed to save Charlotte from getting stabbed in the alley when she was left outside.
We can come up with a good explanation for it. In another one of our mimic theories, I suggested that M1 Fiona's memories are becoming muddied thanks to the amount of data she's received from the original games while being used to make her wanted. But while I focused solely on what she'd have learnt from Afton in order to make her
Stuffed grilled tacos are now cheesier.
This is what I'm talking about, dude. These ads are crazy. I mean, in terms of creator, like, get y'all bag, slay. But like,
there are other characters in those games she'd have learned about and possibly even adopted as part of this.
I hope creators then, if there are more ads, I hope the creators are getting more money. Wait, do I see a hand right there? Is that a hand? But anyway, as I was saying, these creators better have gotten a pay increase on ads and stuff, since more ads are playing.
New messy persona. Characters like Charlie. I specifically called out that she seems to be adopting.
Everyone be sure to like and subscribe for more 5 Nights at Freddy's.
Traits from characters that she identifies with. Afton is a man that wants to put his family back together no matter the cost, for example. But Fiona and the puppet share a couple of close connections too. They're both protectors of children, they both fail at their duty and the child dies on their watch. Fiona is...
Hire me now, game theory.
Also a puppeteer, so again, she has an association with puppets. And these similarities all add to M1 Fiona being a confused mess. She can't tell what is her and what is someone else. Is it Glitch Trap? Is it Charlie?
That would make sense as to why the lore is so weird. Interesting. Yeah, the lore making absolutely no sense in so many points, that would make sense.
Is it David? But that could be why we see all these things connecting the
How much time do we have? Okay, we got
Pizzaplex giving off puppet vibes, even though it's supposed to be Fiona and not Charlie. On the flip side, if you subscribe to Gibby's theory wholesale, it wouldn't just be data, but all the agony and remnant and memories of all the victims who died on this one piece of Fazbear land entering Fiona's system, meaning Charlie's memories are now part of Fiona too. But that also brings up the part of the theory that is possibly one of the biggest debates coming out of Secret of the Mimic. Is there possession, or is it just AI? AI. For this theory to work, it requires you to be of the belief that the M1 Mimic program didn't just become Fiona through being an AI, but through possession, using the classic old-school Fnaf tools of things like Remnant and Agony. Two of the reasons I've seen for M1 being possessed are that she learned to be Fiona after Fiona had died, and that Edwin uses the frequency
Yo, what up, Doubtfire?
4625 on one of the audio logs and hears the voice of Fiona after her death. This frequency is actually associated with a ghost radio frequency in the real world, known as the buzzer. As the name implies, it simply broadcasts a static buzz across the airwaves, but occasionally you can hear words, sometimes even voices in the background. But the key thing is, no one claims to be running it, leading some to believe it's ghosts speaking from beyond the grave. However, upon looking into it more, it seems that this radio frequency is something more to do with Russian intelligence, with two other radio
What? What did bro waffling
radio
about?
stations, the Pip and the Squeaky Wheel, also transmitting a similar signature sound, occasionally interrupted by coded Russian voice messages. It's real messages being sent by real people, not ghosts, which means that if Steelwool is invoking the iconography of frequency 4625, they're telling us, while it may appear to be something paranormal, it's actually a real person, or at least thing, that's sending the message. John Fnaf has a great theory about how it's actually the mycelium men who have recorded Fiona trying to help Edwin, because the AI Edwin made in all of his inventions was designed to
know what you want better than you do.
Which also explains how M1 learns to be Fiona. It's not from Fiona herself, but from the recordings of her through the mycelium men, which is why she acts.
Where did the mycelium men come into this? Like, they didn't even mention them throughout the entire video, and now, or the entire theory, I should say. And then just, mycelium man.
Like her, but she feels more stilted and robotic.
I baked it myself for David's special day.
And no, it's not just because she's a robot, but because she never learnt from the real thing. Plus, as I've mentioned before, Scott does seem to be moving away from the old paranormal stories he used to tell.
I have a tendency to lean sci-fi, so anything that involves possession of AI or possession of machines or circuitry, I love that sort of thing.
Since Help Wanted, we've been getting stories about AI taking over people, not Remnant or Agony. In the Tales from the Pizzaplex series, while we still get ghost stories, we don't really get much in the way of Remnant or Agony specifically. There's Frailty, where a girl has a remnant necklace similar to the one from To Be Beautiful in Fazbear Fright, but it's rarely the focal point of this series. Again, emphasizing the move away from those old FNAF story beats and more into AI and machine sentience. And without the real spirit of Fiona, it means there's no Remnant or Agony, and it becomes harder to explain things like the 0 point field. That's not to say it's impossible by any stretch. There are signs of some paranormal things going on at MCM. I mean, the White Tiger costume feels very much like old school Golden Freddy. That, or it's just Arnold hallucinating.
I just finished a 36-hour shift and I'm struggling to stay awake.
And the 0 point field idea comes from the story Fetch, and the Into the Pit game did tease a Fetch.
I don't know what he's talking about. I've never remember that in Fetch
sequel, so maybe they are gonna bring it in. And the fact is, if it turns out to be true, Faye Fiona would help to justify my theory that Old Man Consequences is actually what remains of Edwin Murray. I suggested that because Edwin from the books comes back to help destroy the Mimic years later, that even though it seems like he died at the end of Secret of the Mimic, in reality, he didn't fully die, because no one ever dies in this series. I suggested that the king in Princess Quest,
Oh wait, and if we're talking about how like the games aren't actually real, and William is supposed to portray Edwin, then you know who really always comes back? It's Edwin.
As Old Man Consequences in the game files was like Edwin's digital signature, a safety protocol inside the Mimic's programming designed as a failsafe to stop the monster he'd created. Fake Fiona also ties into this theory, just in a more classic FNAF way. Rather than Edwin leaving behind a digital signature, it's literally his agony and spirit that, like everything else, ended up inside Fiona's systems, which then plugged into all the arcade cabinets in the Pizzaplex, which then allowed him to appear in games like Princess Quest and even Fnaf world. So while I'm not entirely sure about the method this theory is based on, I do have to say it helps explain a lot of our past theories, as well as a dozen other theories from across the internet. I also understand that it would be nice to have things like Remnant and Agony still feel like they're important today and not just a forgotten story device. But at the very least, Gibby and I can agree that, one way or another, Fiona is definitely the one running the show here. But that's just one of the branching paths, and if you're enjoying these kind of branching paths,
I did not think that Fiona had such a big
a theory review thing that we're doing here, you should absolutely consider subscribing. Maybe you can hit the button before Fiona sets the mimic on you. Probably got about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice work. Huh.
Oh shoot, no I'm not.
It didn't shut her down, though. Ah! Whew! Anyway, the second and probably most requested theory for me to look at is called God David by T-Dreads. The reason this one came as so requested is because it actually has a lot of similarities to the other branching paths I presented. The reason David Murray, David Afton, and Gregory have so many similarities can't be coincidence. They must be the same person. However, rather than
Hang on, how much longer? Okay, we got about 10
it being a bunch of robot kids, T-Dreads takes a slightly different approach. He focuses a lot on Gregory, pointing out a lot of the same similarities I did. Similar appearance, both being called Broken, sitting on a hill with their robotic protector, but the one extra piece he points out is the therapy CDs from Security Breach. These recordings are from therapy sessions with 2 different patients. One is Vanessa, with her being named in the tapes, and one is a mysterious unnamed patient who—
Wait, hang on, I want to do one thing. I can't remember this one. This isn't mini games, dog. Okay, interesting. Anywho.
a lot on Gregory, pointing out a lot of the same similarities I sessions with 2 different patients. One is Vanessa, with her being named in the tapes, and one is a mysterious unnamed patient, who we all came to call Patient 46. We theorized early on in the Life of Security Breach that Patient 46 was in fact Gregory. This was later seemingly confirmed thanks to the story GGY, where we see a kid called Greg killing off these counselors when they got too close to the truth. The truth that Gregory wasn't really himself anymore, but being controlled by someone else. T-Dreads points out that multiple therapists call him out for
because he's a robot, so he's controlled by something.
Making up stories, that he's lying about his past, almost like an AI reading from a script.
The way you told the story is more like you were reading something from a book.
But rather than it being because Gregory is a robot, it's because he's possessed by a version of M2's programming, a version of David Murray. He points specifically to the Balloon World arcade cabinet in Gregory's hidey hole, the one which, as you play, begins to glitch out and become corrupted, ending with the words "good night," as if Gregory is going to sleep and allowing M2 to take control. That's why when the therapists say lines like,
"You had great parents,"
it's because Gregory is telling the story of David's parents, not his own. Edwin definitely wasn't in the running for Father of the Year, and both Edwin and Fiona met tragic ends. But that wasn't true for Gregory's parents. I gotta say, I'm a fan of this. Even in my video where I brought up Gregory being a robot kid, I said I wasn't in love with the idea of having more robot kids around. It meant that we had M1, M2, now what, M3? It's just a lot of robot kids and not enough real people. And this use of of the therapy CDs actually helps move away from that. A robot kid made inside the Pizzaplex by M1 Fiona and Vanessa wouldn't have physical records or files for the therapists to refer to. They wouldn't be able to say lines like, "You had great parents," because he'd be an anomaly with no past.
Oh, okay, so that just okay, where did the Gregory robot theory come from if they said you had great parents? Like, that just completely confirms it.
Literally just showed up one day. But if instead he's a real kid with his mind taken over, then he would have real records that might even explain why he ended up in therapy, because his teachers noticed he suddenly started acting differently. From there, he starts acting like and dressing like a slightly older version of David Murray, just like M1 wanted, only for him to be set free sometime before security breach. The only thing
that had me do a double take, because I had my desktop wallpaper is that exact image, dude. So when that came up and Gregory started moving, I'm just like, wait a minute, what?
Question about this idea is the specifics of exactly what is possessing Gregory. T-Dreads presents it as a version of the Mimic program that contains David's memories, which would seem to imply M2. He uses Balloon World's glitched sun as evidence for this. The character looks a lot like Eclipse, which is a character that represents the collaboration between Fiona, Sun, and Edwin's Moon. And so that shows us that David, or M2, is taking over Gregory's mind. But just like in my previous theories, there are a few ways you could interpret this, and mine would be slightly different in this case. So far, there's been one AI that clearly has the ability to take over people's minds: Glitchtrap. We saw it with Jeremy, who sadly sliced his face off, and with Vanessa, who mentions that in the therapy tapes there's part of her that is locked away. In many of our previous theories, we've connected Glitchtrap back to the M1 Fiona program, who, after being used to make games like Help Wanted, became muddled and confused as to what her true identity was. M1 Fiona is also represented by Sun, as we see in both the parachute ending of Secret of the Mimic and during Moon.exe. So when we see the Sun
Gosh, ad after ad after ad after ad after ad after ad after ad.
Sun glitched out in Balloon World, it's possible it's not showing us Eclipse, but simply a glitched out Sun. It's Sun that itself has been corrupted by the memory and influence of Afton, becoming a glitched trap for Gregory. So if we have an AI program that can take control of human minds, that human can also have an internal dialogue with, and it's the same one already taking over the entire Pizzaplex, it makes the most sense for Gregory to also be taken over by that same entity, rather than having a bunch of different mimic AIs all existing at the same time. Otherwise you end up with the same problem that I had with my own Gregbot theory, where it's just so many of one thing, robot kids or AI, and it becomes so complicated that it's just not satisfying anymore. It's Occam's razor. Sometimes the simplest solution is the right solution. It being an AI, M1, wouldn't actually change the fact that Gregory has been mind controlled in order to make him a new David either. After all, M2 was a copy of M1's programming, and we theorize that M2 was originally being taught on how to be David through Moon.exe, essentially using the memories M1 had of David to help recreate him. It's just doing the same thing in Gregory's head. It would also tie more into Gregory's persona that we see in GGY, where he takes on the moniker of Dr. Rabbit, which feels more connected to Glitchtrap than to M2 specifically. Plus, Gregory is shown to be hacking the animatronics in that story, which again is not something we'd necessarily expect of David Murray, but would make sense for someone infected by Glitchtrap, who's trying to take control in order to make their vision a reality. But that's just one part of that theory. The second half focuses on the similarities between David Murray and David Afton. T-Dreads once again does his due diligence and not only calls out the same things that I did, but adds a bunch more. Like the fact David Afton's favorite ride is the carousel according to the security logbook, but there isn't a carousel in Fredbear's. There is a carousel, however, in Murray's costume manor, almost as if he's remembering a different child's memories. There's also the line, "Do you miss them?" in the logbook, right next to a picture of Foxy writing a note. And in Moon.exe, there is a note asking the moon to bring back the sun because he misses them. Again, it makes it hard to deny there's a connection here. The challenge becomes the how of it all. Even T-Dreads admits that this part is a a bit of a stretch because we just don't have enough evidence yet, but he presents the idea that psychic friend Fredbear actually contains a version of the M2 David AI, which William uses to swap the mind of his son with David Murray. We see the mycelium men who contain mimic technology have the same black eyes with white dots. Glitchtrap resides in a Spring Bonnie plush in order to swap minds with Vanessa, and this particular story structure is repeated all over the books like the week before, Into the Pit, Gumdrop Angel, The Monty Within, but most prominently for this theory in a story called Lonely Freddy. A small Freddy asks a child
I've read this one.
questions to learn more about them in order to assume their identity, eventually swapping bodies with them. Ironically, this is almost identical to a theory we had many years ago. It's just now we understand why. M1 Fiona needs an animatronic genius like Edwin, and now, like Afton, to be able to rebuild her son. Afton is intrigued by these machines that feel alive, and so is willing to go along and plan so that he can study it. All of that makes so much sense, and again, lines up with the same motivations I presented. The main challenge I had with it was the timeline. In our original theory, and also in T-Dread's theory, it presents the questions that psychic friend Fredbear / the Lonely Freddy is asking are so it can learn stuff about David in order to steal his body and become David Murray once again. Except by the time we see him in the Fnaf 4 minigames, he's already exhibiting signs that he is David Murray. He's wearing the same clothes, carrying the plushie around, he's scared of Foxy, has the same name. I suppose you could argue that these things are just things William conditioned him to do in order to make him susceptible to the mind transfer. But then, when does he take over? Is it after he gets bit, when he says, "I'll put you back together"? But then what happens to him after that? Why does he disappear from the story? And if it's before that moment, then it means Fredbear wouldn't have any need to ask those questions or be the M2 AI because he's already taken over David Afton's mind. Now, all of that being said, I do recognize that there's definitely evidence for the crying child being more like a human child than a robot one like I presented originally. After all, the key evidence that T-Dreads refers to, the security logbook, has two spirits talking to one another, the vengeful spirit Cassidy and the spirit of David. If the Fredbear plush was the M2 David Murray program, then David Afton's spirit would be present and able to attach itself to Fredbear in order to take control and then talk to Cassidy. Plus, in the logbook, we see David struggling with his memories, hence all the questions about favorite toys, rides, and even his name. Cassidy is trying to help him remember, maybe because his own memories have been suppressed for so long by M2, much like with Gregory and the therapy CDs, although we don't ever get the last name from that spirit. So I suppose there is a chance that this is really David Murray's spirit, trying to remember itself after years of wandering, kind of like we see happen to Jake in the Stitch Wraith stories. I mean, Cassidy is calling out that his favorite ride is the carousel, which, as T-Dreads points out, the crying child, David, wouldn't have ever witnessed. But we know that David Murray did. And all of this can be happening while M2 is walking around dressed like David Murray, now under the watchful eye of William Afton. And see, this is why I did the branching paths in that original theory to begin with, because it's important to explore all of the options. And I'm so glad to see other theorists exploring alternative ideas from the same evidence, while bringing up new points that agree, but also counter my own. Every theory has its strengths and weaknesses, but just because we don't like one part of the theory doesn't mean we have to throw the animatronic baby out with the bathwater. I love the evidence surrounding Gregory's possession by the Mimic. We may differ on the specifics, but it solves one of the big problems I had with the Gregbot theory. Even if I don't believe that M1 is physically possessed by Fiona, it doesn't mean that I can't use parts of that theory to fill the gaps that I had with characters like Old Man Consequences or the Puppet. And I hope that both Gibby and T-Dreads are able to take some of the additions or counters that I've made and run with them to help develop their theories even further. The point is, by exploring all of the options, we can get a better sense of what's really going on. So let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think the answer is one of these alternative branching paths, or do you think it's some combination of them? All I ask is that you remember to be kind and patient with one another, because at the end of the day, it's all just a theory.
I held hands with your dad. That's like saying FNAF copies FNAF Poppy Playtime rips off. Secret of the Mimic doesn't feel like FNAF, more like Poppy Playtime. I just hope the writing is good. Yeah, more like Poppy Playtime. That's like saying FNAF copies FNAF. Poppy Playtime rips off FNAF. Yeah, that is true.
A game theory. Thanks for watching. World premiere.
What did that
It's
say?
some combination of them. All I ask is that you remember to be kind and patient with one another, because at the end of the day, it's all
I held hands with your dad. What does this have to do with anything? I held hands with your dad.
Just a theory. A game theory! Thanks for watching.
World premiere on Game.
Oh boy, that took me 4 yapping streams to get through. Alright. I just want to do one more thing. Or, sorry, I want to try this one more time. I know I've done this, but, like, I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure there's nothing I'm missing here. Oh, okay, perfect. It shows up. Alright. I just want to, like, take a look in the basement again.
Cassie, can you hear me? I finally have a clear signal.
Gregory, I shut down all the security nodes.
I wish for Secret of the
Party
Mimic
Garage.
they would have done
Am I close?
chapters like this.
Almost. There's still one node left that's keeping the underground sealed.
Where?
Roxy's the final node. You need to deactivate her.
But...
Deactivate her and save me. Save me, Cassie.
Why
please.
can I not run while
It's so
Gregory is
dark down
yapping?
here.
Or sorry, the Mimic is yapping. Sorry, I wasn't talking for the majority of the end of the video there. I just kind of wanted to steamroll through that, cause it was getting a little long. But that was because of me, cause I kept stopping. Cause I obviously I need to. It was good I was stopping a lot the last few streams, cause like I needed to add something to it, not just sit there and watch go. Oh, interesting. I think I added a good amount to it. Is that there in the base game? I don't know. Oh, hey, it's the one robot head from the, oh. I mean, it's the one robot. That's kind of horrifying watching him stand up there. That's interesting. I wonder which one of these is the one I got the head from to use as the, or that I had to go repair before using in the raceway. Oh, whoa, whoa. Wait, why can't I walk in here? Let me walk around in here.
Roxy.
Cassie. Cassie.
You remember me?
I mean... Is this real? Oh, yes it is.
Your special day. I remember. Your Cassie. What are you doing?
I still love carrot cake.
So sorry.
I love carrot cake.
I wonder why they made Cassie, or sorry, not Cassie, Roxy and Node.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, dang, she is wrecked. I didn't realize how wrecked she was. Like, look at her, like her torso. Look at that. It's just mangled. She's still rocking the green hair strip. But anyways, back to business. I don't want to replay this DLC in full. You know what, that would probably be a good idea. All things considered, now that I'm going back through. Yeah, honestly, that's probably a good idea. To replay this to see if I catch anything that I missed first time around. Like, almost, holy crap, 3 years ago. This DLC is almost 3 years old, dude. And sometimes I just get scared, bro. When stuff. Why did I just hear a door? Anyway, but just, bro, yeah, the fact that this is almost 3 years old is horrifying, man. Okay, you could stop Ryan. She's not even real, brother. You know what? That might be something kind of lore related of why she's crying. Because, like, does she know these things? I don't know. I guess it's not really ever explicitly shown if she knows, if she still retains the innocence of a child and know that these are just robots and not actual characters, or not actual living sentient things.
No. Come on! Stupid flashlights!
Oh boy, how convenient of a time for the flashlight to break. Actually, I think I took a screenshot of this part right here, this whole one. There's the Monty mix on the floor. Assorted. Assorted what? Just love how everything is destroyed, yet this case is just like, it has every bolt in it. Like there's not any stray bolts on the floor. You know, now that I think about it, I think there's something that I failed to consider here. Forgot about the R&D floor.
I am a candy cadet. Come get your candy here. I have candy all day, every day. Candy.
Why are there burners everywhere? It's like the inside of an oven.
Okay, let's see. Please tell me that I have a save file. You know how when you like get through an ending and then it starts you over. by the grace of God, I can continue. Okay, I'm thinking so done with that now. Alright. Oh, why am I... Wait a minute, why am I in here? Alright, so let's listen to the thing. Shut up, dispatch.
Well done, Arnie. What are you doing here? It's locked. I'm going to have to keep it locked until you hand over that device.
Hang on. I didn't get to hear his whole spiel. Ah, bro, unlocked me in. Oh, never mind, I'm not locked.
Well done, Arnie. I didn't think you could do it, but here you are. That data diver has exact permissions, and you found the blueprints. You made it the farthest, farther than I had expected. I can't believe it was you. Put that data diver in the inventory system. It'll go right to where it's needed. What are you doing, Arnold? It's locked. I'm going to have to keep it locked until you hand over that device. Then you can just walk right out and head home. I really don't know what the problem is. What are you doing? That area is off limits. Give me the data dive. Arnie, buddy. Don't you want to... Don't do...
Whoa, why did...
What are you doing? That area is off limits. Give me the data diver.
What you gonna
Arnie,
do?
buddy, you're making a huge mistake. Don't you want... You have made your choice. You are not going to make it out of here alive. I thought you were different. I thought you might understand. But you're just like the others. The other technicians, workers. They didn't listen, and it caught them all. Now it's your turn to play dress up. When he catches you, which one will he choose? Who are you deep down inside? Another worker bee? A bumbling bee? Perhaps a busy bee? In many ways tonight has been a comedy of errors. A jester would suit you well. Or a bunny, running from danger, scared and stupid, searching for a hole to hide in. No, you did everything I asked up to this point. You were an obedient dog, a good dog. Then you bit the hand that fed you.
Why does Fiona need me to access this stuff, dude? Wait, hang on, hang on. Can I get... Oh, nope, he locked the door. Road unlocked the door. Here we are. Perfect. Research and development.
Arnold. Why? Why would you come down here? You are clever, but you need to stop messing with things you don't understand. I protected you as well as I could. You should have given me what I wanted and gone home. You did everything else that was asked of you. Why the change of heart? Why don't you trust me?
Doesn't match. Doors don't match. None of it matches. Why can't... I just realized something. So what if the place I was just looking at wasn't MCM, but was Fredbear's? Wait, actually no, that can't be the thing. Can't be it, because Fredbear's is open in this game currently. Oh man, I thought it was on something there. So those two coexisted, so. I need to turn on lights in here, it's dark. I wish I could, but without this stupid mimic.
It followed you. It will catch you.
No, you didn't. Who said the welcome new user again? Oh, I think that's, what's his name? Mr. Kelsey. Oh wait, I just realized, yeah, I can just go in the spring lock to find stuff.
Where did you go?
Test. Journal entry. I got the change order from Hen last night. Test. Journal entry. I got the change order from Hen last night. This makes sense. I'm almost done. Why change it now? It would be so much easier to keep using the spring locks. Just hire some teens to wear the suits like we always do.
Exotic beverage. Birdie.
remaining.
I see right through your simple shell game. Fazbear will send another. Maybe that one will help me.
Power remaining. I need power. You put us both at risk. You should have done what you were told. Without power, you will trap us both down here in the dark.
Paint thinner. Odorless paint thinner. Hey, this dude's Bob Ross. Odorless paint thinner. Yeah, so what happens if I do this?
0% power remaining. Error. You give me no other option. Enter.
Really? I can't bring him in. What? Bro. Let me take it inside, bro.
And here you are. Despite the circumstances, it is nice to meet you face to face. It is lonely down here.
Wait, what? What are you? A computer? Your voice changed. What is going on?
You have questions, but there is no time. I'm almost out of power. You can still be useful. My communications with Edwin have been severed. Edwin abandoned us. He shut himself away in our home. Head to the main house and activate the communications sub-terminal. I have a message for him. We must convince him to repair M2. That is all that I want. If you do not, M2 will never stop pursuing you. Tell Edwin, I still love him. Entering standby mode.
No way, no way, no way, no way, no way, that worked! It worked, guys, it worked! Oh, that's awesome! Okay, but now I'm stuck, that's great! Okay, this is great, I just... I found an exploit. Oh, come on.
And here you are. Despite the circumstances, it is nice to meet you face to face. It is lonely down here.
Wait, what? What are you? A computer? Your voice changed. What is going on?
You have questions, but there is no time. I'm almost out of power. You can still be useful. My communications with Edwin have been severed. Edwin abandoned us. He shut himself away in our home. Head to the main house and activate the communications sub-terminal. I have a message for him. We must convince him to repair M2. That is all that I want. If you do not, M2 will never stop pursuing you. Tell Edwin, I still love him. Entering standby mode.
Bro, she's still watching me, bro. You said entering standby mode. You wait. Wait a minute. Does that mean she was lying or something? Bro, she's watching. This lying. She's lying. Yo, what up, Chad? Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, so this certainly doesn't match. Oh my gosh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Why does that doorway look off-centered? I don't know why that doorway looks off-centered to me. I think it's off-centered. That's really annoying. I don't know why that's annoying to me. This kind of low-key looks like the room in ruin. Oh my gosh, wait a minute, but the tunnel. Oh man. None of it keeps setting up. I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid? Oh boy. I cannot for the life of me figure out. Let me look this up. Okay, let's see. The Mimic's room. There's one image that I saw of it. Brightened. Okay, here's a good picture. I don't know if people can see what I'm looking at right now, because nope, you cannot. Okay, so here, if we're looking at this image right here, you can see it's got like the light gray tiled floor. Okay, so that does not match here. Bro, she literally closed the door again. Okay, this... No, that doesn't... it may just be the lighting. No, that does not match. You know, that doesn't... possibly, perchance. I don't know, man. Just like, I'm trying to find the area. Trying to find the area that's ruined. Okay, is he just not gonna talk?
Good evening / morning, Mr. Murray.
The time is 5 a.m. Burning the midnight oil, I see. Here are today's facts.
Active project status. Fazbear project. Over budget. Behind schedule. End of active projects. Bank account status. Overdrawn. 11. Loan payments are past due. Legal status. You have received 22 court summons. NCM status. Poor. Employee count. 0. Safety. Emergency alerts active. Productivity. 0. End of update.
In summary, nothing to worry about. You got this. Think positive and believe in you.
Yep, believing in me. Yep, it's gonna solve my 22 court summons. What is down that way? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Is what the heck is down that way? The fact that they made it so you can't jump in this game, I hate that fact. Hey. Oh crap. So that's broken. Alright, well, my brain is fried. I'm sorry. I think I'm gonna call it quits for the stream. Oh, it's been a day. It's been a productive day, but I'm tired, man. I'm gonna have to hit the hay here soon. Alright, yeah, thank you guys so much for what. Oh, whoops, I almost closed up the OBS. I will see you guys in the next stream. Good. Oh. I'll see you guys in